Namaste and welcome, beloved mighty companions. See, we can communicate without sound. That's the best communication. That infinite love is here. And that our only function is to celebrate that. And you just we don't realize without Jesus telling us how much angst runs below the level of awareness. Like Jesus said, you can tolerate quite a bit of pain, but you don't know how much pain you're tolerating, actually, until the smoke clears. Oh my goodness. And we need Jesus's help, boy, to clear that smoke out of the mind. The smoke and mirrors of having an ego out of the mind. We had such a beautiful joining today over fear. It's posted up now. And I think Jesus has some more to say about that. I guess I'll find out what he... How he's here to help us see. And how this looking that we're talking about together through the joining, this worksheet is so direct and unsparing, because we're starting with infinite light. Infinite. To honor that we can all see that the light's here, and not a single one of us is going to be happy until we honor that that light is us. And you can ask Jesus, because everyone teases me about saying, you just say, ask Jesus, because I know everyone can hear him. It's like, everyone who comes to these circles can hear him for sure. He's just helping us kind of get past the idea that we don't want to hear him. That we don't want to have him tell us that we're innocent. Jesus, is there a desire below my level of awareness not to let you tell me I'm innocent? Have you shown me that I'm innocent? Do I not want to know I'm innocent? Ask him, Jesus, do I not want to know I'm innocent? We'd rather like to run so fast from innocence. It's not funny, because then if we see we're innocents, no more ha 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 and play in the world of form. Because in order to play as a person in form, you have to be guilty. You have to have assigned yourself a body and play dead. That doesn't sound so good, does it? It's not. But we pretend like it's a really good deal. Jesus, ask him, just ask him, Jesus, am I pretending like a body's a really good deal to have? And he says, it's not as good a deal as being infinite, that's for sure. He says, that's all I'm trying to show you, is that you're infinite, untouched by time or space. And that you can't be touched by time or space unless you want to pretend like you are. That's so beautiful today. To hear our beautiful brothers talk to Jesus about fear and have him coach them. So we really want that Jesus character to be outside of us. He says, you got to give that over to me too. Jesus, do I want you to be something outside of me? He says for time, it's helpful to think as me as outside of you, because the idea you have of yourself, you'll never transcend it unless you think I'm outside of you. because you won't look outside of the idea that you have of who you are, your concept. Yet the very concepts you hold about yourself, you hold about me. It was beautiful. I think Jessica said that. Jesus told her, fear is a concept. That feels good to ask Jesus about fear being a concept, doesn't it? Jesus, is fear a concept? He said that's the self-concept. It's a piece of personal identity that you want more than God. We can ask him, Jesus, is fear a piece of concept about myself that I want more than God? So it's an ask him, Jesus, is fear an excuse not to look to see that it's nothing? So that's the grace of God given us by these joining sessions. To look together in the light of divine being as the divine beings that we are, to see that fear is nothing. In the light of divine being and honesty of God, is fear nothing? And hear what Jesus says. He says it cannot arise without your energetic investment in it. You have to see where consciousness is playing and the pot's boiling, but it's lit the fire under itself. It put an energetic investment and then pretends, it's hot in this room. It's really, boy, smoking. Who lit that fire? And you got to see that we light the fire under ours. Ask Jesus, that's what the whole gig is about, our meeting. So we can see that nobody done it. Like the who done it in consciousness. The attraction, the magnet, it's like a heat-seeking missile to watch detective shows. Really, that attraction to watching them try to find all the clues. CSI, how many CSIs? There are probably 25 CSIs of various sorts, because consciousness loves to try to find the victim and the victimizer and what happened to the body. And ask Jesus, is that a distraction from looking to see that there's nobody who did anything? The last thing the ego wants to see is that there's nobody who did anything to anyone, because there's no one. There's only the one, and therefore you can't have, as soon as you have two, it's the dream. Ask Jesus. As soon as the two pops out, am I dreaming? And then when we see, okay, am I generating of the dreamer? Am I generating this dream? And ask them. And then we're mad about it too. So first, let's ask them. First, let's ask them, am I generating, Jesus, am I generating that dream? Do I want to see that I'm generating this dream? Jesus goes, no. But when you see it, when we start admitting that we're consciousness wants to play in a dream, then divine power, the kingdom of heaven, becomes restored. I mean, it's always here. It's never lost. But from the perspective of the dreamer, the sufferer, as soon as suffering is seen as a self-inflicted torture experience, then it's like, oh, well, that doesn't have to be true. But as long as it's desired experience, ask Jesus, Jesus, as long as I desire experience of suffering, will it persist? Can suffering persist without my desire for it? So he's reminding me to say, for me, because I see it's all for me, that he doesn't get in there and throw in the kitchen sink when he's working with you. Okay, so he doesn't come in and go, okay, now here's 500 things that I need to look at that I did wrong, that this. Okay, so we have to really be attentive to who's doing that. It's a smokescreen. And that's why the question and answer in the little form here is so helpful. It's Jesus, what's the most important thing for me to look at? And you'll notice that's when you want to start dreaming the most. We were laughing about it. That's when, you'll ask a question and you're kind of smoking on a beach out in somewhere, because the consciousness does not want to see and look directly with Jesus, because it's a very fast trip then. See, it's a little delay play. So it really takes the power of not being distracted. When you start looking with Jesus, not desiring a distraction, you can ask him, Jesus, when I start to look with you, do I desire an experience of being distracted? At least we can admit it. We can admit it. And we ask for his help too. Jesus, I think I need a miracle before I need help from the Holy Spirit before I can even start looking at desires. You can ask for that. Ask him, Jesus, can I ask for a miracle and help? So I can be focused and look with you what I need to look at to see, so you can show me none of this stuff is true. Okay, so he doesn't fill up a big old bag of stuff and then drop it on you. It's not how he works. If that's happening, it becomes the metaphysical sideways, where and then this and the little ego parrot comes out. Little ego parrot. So that you don't look, the little ego parrot comes out and starts talking about all the metaphysics and all the things you did wrong, and and you need to look at this, and you can only have salvation with this. It does the ego parrot. And just ignore that and just ask him again, Jesus, will you tell me specifically what I need to look at? Because remember, he's the surgeon. And he's using a laser to a pinpoint. So he's going to go to a pinpoint and say, okay, look at this. And again, that's why these joining sessions are so helpful. Because as Dyra and Jessica, they're reporting, he gets you together to the one mind experience, direct experience. The light circles are for direct experience. The infinite light is here. The joining, so it's the revelatory experience that there's something here that's pure and innocent. And then the joining with your brother, joined you with your brother as a representative God to show you where you're saying no to infinite, the contrast. And he says, join quickly in a moment of light. And I want to really emphasize that this is not the same as expression sessions. And you really need to follow the sheet. See, anything will work for forgiveness. It's just that consciousness loves to play in the illusion of emotional release. That's its function, to play emotions. So there's nothing bad. We're not judging them. We're just saying without the desire for emotions, they can't arise. Ask Jesus. Jesus, without my desire for an emotional experience, can it arise and happen? So what Jesus is offering, see, emotions are way up there. And this isn't about release of emotions. This is about seeing what's true now. If something arises in consciousness, it's because there's a desire for the experience of it. And that's why we go to honesty of God. Okay, I'm crying or whatever. It's not to make it bad. You just go to Jesus and say, Jesus, am I keeping something with this emotion or am I releasing? And he'll tell you, he'll go, it's a release or it's keeping. But the ego loves to keep things hidden in emotions. And then it's the story. See, the story's way up there. It's a story. This thing happened to me. Ask Jesus if one single emotion can arise without a story of some sort behind it. So he's trying to save time, and he's not making anything wrong. He's just saying, here's where I can really, really help you. Admit that you desire an experience, like he says, it's not peace. Is any emotion other than love is not peace, see? And I'm not at peace, therefore I have a desire not to be at peace. So you can just go there. We don't have to sort out the emotions or figure out the beliefs, or just go with him and go, okay, Jesus, I'm not at peace. Show me where I need a miracle. And he's going to laser point for you. And you'll see it in the joining sessions. That's why we're just saying join, join, join. And you can see the reflection of the holy beings in their glow when they're talking to Jesus, and he's helping them. And just go, okay, so Jesus, do I desire this experience? So unhappiness arises. Okay, I'm unhappy right now. Jesus, do I desire an experience of unhappiness? And listen. Like, okay, I do. All right, am I ready for a miracle? So we just review these steps so that all the play of consciousness is not more powerful than we are, to stay focused on that voice inside, or be with our brother who helps us hear the voice. He's just saying you can join quickly with him and transcend all the kerfuffle that's up here. All the emotions, and they're not bad. They could arise. He's not saying no. He's just saying, okay, here's what saves time. Come to me with desire. And let me show you how to just be infinite quickly by releasing the desire for the experience of two. Because emotions, again, desire, you can talk to him about it. He'll tell you all about it. What's below desire? You can ask him that question. Jesus, what's below desire? And then what is desire really? What's desire? It's an energetic investment in the dream of separation. It's wanting to be more or less than we already are. It's like a little dance around the light to not see the light. You can ask Jesus, is that a dance around the light? Desire, is that a desire to dance and be anything other than light? Anything other than supreme happiness? So as soon as fear is experienced, I'm asking him, he said this before, I'm just checking in, you're not listening to him. Actually, it was so beautiful. Oh, what was her name? She's so lovely. And she said, I took Jesus's hand and I couldn't feel any fear. That was for all of us. What? Oh my gosh, I want to look it up. It was beautiful. Jesus, what was her name? That was for all of us when she said that, really. You took his hand. She said, I can't feel fear. That's what he's offering to all of us. Take my hand. You can't feel fear when you're holding my hand. He's the symbol of divine power within. He's going to walk us out. Jesus, will you walk me out of this world? Does he say no to anybody here? I'm not going to walk you out. And it's stunning to see it with our brothers. So we start with the infinite light of being. And we ask Jesus, what is it that is most helpful for us to see? He says, see that you're not your thoughts, feelings, or emotions. Jesus, am I my thoughts, feelings, and emotions? See that you want an experience of being stapled to your thoughts, feelings, emotions. Ask Jesus, Jesus, do I want an experience of being stapled to thoughts, feelings, and emotions? So being stapled to thoughts, feelings, emotion is a desired experience. He says, as long as you interpret them as being you, you're going to be afraid because you always feel fragmented. So fear is just stapling yourself to thoughts, feelings, and emotions, pretending like you are your thoughts, feelings, and emotions. Ask Jesus. It's just a habit, which he's helping us step away from. It's the habit, it's the desire below our level of awareness, the play in consciousness that something happening to a me. Jesus, is fear a desire to have an experience that something's happening to me? So we're just really stepping away from the play. And he said that to several, just come over here and stand by me. Several beings are saying that. Jesus is like, come over here a minute. We don't have to be living, trying to see, the ego tries to live inside of concepts when it's really death. Your life itself. Ask Jesus. Jesus, am my life itself the totality of all that is? Infinite, unchanging being? It's like, yeah, but I don't feel like it. That's the ego chimes in like so quickly. Jesus, I have a desire. Do I have a desire below my level of awareness not to feel infinite? Okay, now's the opening. That was honesty of God, and now he can work and say, okay, will you help me look through this desire? And you can see every time there's no, I don't know if we want to say it never fails, but it never fails. It's the only thing that never fails. It's 100%. It's more higher probability than winning the lottery to look with him all the way through desire and then go, wait, there's nothing under there. Like nothing under that, all that noise. But he has to show us a lot. He does. He knows. He knows he has to show us a lot. Well, he doesn't really. If we accept that we're light, the less he has to show us. Yeah. The chances are really good because of the addiction to consciousness, the addiction, like what Melissa was saying, she was seeing the addiction to it, the addiction to being a person, the addiction, the pretending like we don't like it, but we really do. And that's why these experiences where you're going down in the mind with Jesus and your brother, so helpful. Again, when you're hitting that jackpot of, oh, I want this really. I want death, Jesus. I want an experience of death. I don't want to see that I'm light at all. Not one shred of it. When you can get that honest, it's the gateway to the infinite. What he's offering is so precious because, again, so many spiritual students, they'll go sit in satsang, and it's a beautiful, and they'll see it. You'll see it. You'll see that there's an infinite love because you probably already seen it. You probably had mystical experience where you already know there's nothing here. But the challenge is the sustainability of it. Mm-hmm. Like, what happened to that, Jesus? Somebody took my Jesus fish away. Where'd you go? How'd you leave me, Daddy? The reason, ask Jesus. You can, everyone here can hear him. They know that's my mantra here. What does Jesus say? Because you can't be happy until you hear Jesus. That's why. I promise you 100%. Like, it's not even a doubt in my mind that there's no way for you to be happy supremely happy without getting to know Jesus fish. Because he's the symbol of our true identity in our minds. And he's the way out of the maze of the little construction. So it's just like there isn't a doubt. And besides, to doubt that you could talk to him would doubt my identity. See, that would be a doubt. Like he said at the first chapter of a new covenant, to teach anything, imply anything other than every being can hear my voice now in full, would deny the Father's will. That was pretty direct. So every being can hear, and that's his emphasis. Every being can hear him as clearly as hell. And he's not playing hide and go seek with some beings and not other beings. It'll seem like some beings do hear him. That's a helpful symbol. When you start joining, when you hear the one-liners, Jesus one-liners coming out of yourself and your brother, it will help confirm that you really, really can hear him. So again, the emphasis in these joinings is not what's wrong with you, a big list coming out. The emphasis is on joining with light, seeing that you're light first. All the power, ask Jesus, is all the power in infinite light. Yeah. So you put your mind on the light because you can. Consciousness can just as easily focus on light as the play of darkness. So you focus on light, then you ask him, okay, show me. And then you let him deliver it. What's the desire? You know, and he'll walk you right through it. Dun, da, da, through the gates of heaven on that one. Okay. You know, it's really that simple, actually. So it's not complicated, but let him, you know, it's the light training to focus on the light and see where you'll see it. You'll both be together and suddenly, what happened? I just dozed off somewhere. That's why I'm really encouraging just 2 beings at a time to focus. And on that one thing. And like I said, as soon as those, like, it comes up with a whole, here's all the things you need to clear, to clear divinity, ignore all that. As soon as the dumping, the kitchen sinking starts happening. You got this whole kitchen sink coming out of, you know, you didn't do this and you need to do this. And that's not him. Ask him. He's the laser focused. He's pinpoint accuracy. What is it really, Jesus? That's what the ego doesn't want, though, because it likes that little kerfuffle to hide the real desire to be 2 down in there. So it takes focus. It really takes focus, because we're so, like Jesus was giving me the talk, you know, you have a habit of focusing on what's not happening. You know, he's right. But that's really what we do, is turn our minds over to him, and then he'll just walk us through it effortlessly. It's the release of the idea of effort that this is. That it takes effort to wake up, the desire for the experience of effort to wake up, the desire for the experience of fear in order to wake up, that going to God is fearful. See, as you have that relationship with him, fear is just, you know, the play in consciousness can remain, a little kerfuffles come up and stuff like that, but you know, it's like, I was talking to my mom, I said, it's so amazing. I said, they may arise, you know, what's under the subconscious mind, Jesus knows. But I know that if they do arise, I know exactly who to go to. And the answer will be the same. In to walk this earth with that, everything he's promised in the core, that's what he's promising us. To know who walks with you. You know, that we are powerful. That's his message. You're a powerful divine being, and you can look with me. You have the power to look with me easily, simply, and step out of this world quickly. Holding your brother's hand. And then we can just jump on and ride straight up together to see the power that we've always had and can't lose, even if we want to lose it. But where does the light go? In the light of divine being, does it go anywhere? Can't go anywhere. So we're here just to celebrate it together and let him just, take my hand, Jesus, and just ride back. We're so not used to just, as people have said, get in the back seat and let him drive. You know, where those backseat drivers now, Jesus, Jesus, I'm not sure what you're doing up there. You do you know what you're doing, Jesus? It's not like you transcended the world or anything. It's, you know, like you kind of read A Course in Miracles, and you want to believe it, you're reading it. This looks really good. You just have no idea what kind of tractor beam you just got yourself sucked into and how much backpedaling you're going to do not to get sucked in. And that's what hurts. It's that backpedaling. It, as he'll say over and over, it's not looking. It's the armchair Jesus. I can't find, I mean, Lisa Notty's telling me, is there another way? Jesus, believe it. I would love to find it. Said, this is the way given by me. That's his instructions to me. Because again, consciousness plays and you look around and you see people struck, seemingly beings out there, and they're awake. But he says, generally in consciousness, he said, this is a gentle awakening, and then we have to have him be in total control of it. And the ego doesn't like that either. Well, what do you mean I can't control my own awakening? What do you mean I have to watch Jesus drive? I remember that sounded really horrific. Christ control. It was like, oh, you could just feel the stuff that, go up your back thinking about Christ control. Just try it on now and see if Jesus, I feel totally open to Christ control. How do I really feel about Christ control? It's like, is that at the top of my list? And if he doesn't say yes, then there's some good old Jesus time needed. But that's really deep when you're going, okay, Jesus, do I want Christ control? He's going, no. And then you're going, okay, Jesus, I'll go down with, I'm really going to look at this Christ. I don't want Christ control thing. Because it's the way. That the whole challenge is not wanting Christ control, meaning to be one with the Father, the authority. That there's an authority, that the world has more authority over divine being. And then he just reveals and reveals to us, like, every sentence is true in that book. He's got it all mapped out, like, perfectly. Absolutely perfectly. And then he condensed it in a new covenant so that we could have a little straight talking expression of the Course to just focus on together. And then find out for ourselves if it's true. This isn't about somebody else outside of us telling us it's true. I mean, it's helpful to see that that's our own mind out there. But to have that confidence that we can hear that voice, that's the whole Course in Miracles. Because the decision never comes, no matter what the figures are moving out there in the world, the buck stops here in terms of acceptance of divinity. It can't be some other outside thing deciding for us that. It's an inside job, in other words, to accept it, that we're divine being. So it has to be that, like, it can seem like someone, okay, there's someone sitting here that seems to listen to Jesus, but it just can't be. We can never rely on any figure outside of ourselves, ultimately. They can be a help, they can point, it can be helpful. But ultimately, it's the decisions here to step forward and to celebrate divinity with Jesus and to accept the assignments that he gives. And so he can lead us out. Because if we don't accept his assignments, he can't help us. We're kind of just stewing in the juice. Yeah. Just in the death toll, going, God, this just feels so bad. You know, this is the loop of badness. The hell loop. The loop of hell. But none of us can pretend this anymore. You know, we just can't. We're done. You know, we're toasted. We've been around consciousness block. No. No, we're going, and we're going together too. And we're all going. Woohoo, we're all going straight up. And I'm grateful for it too. I'll tell you, every day those mighties, you want to cuddle them all close. And so we're grateful for you and for staying in there. Because you see, it does take conviction. It takes self-love, actually. This takes so much love of ourselves to step beyond that addiction and to stand into the fire of truth, the fire of the Holy Spirit. But we do have the one who knows with us. There's no doubt that if we follow him, he'd take us out to everything he promises. And supreme happiness is on my list for all of us. Go for God.
Yeah, that's right.
I feel like